each of these techniques, these are things, like I mentioned, that you can reference in your next performance review or salary review or negotiation, because these are leadership qualities. You are initiating change. You're building systems and processes.
The following podcast is produced by Growth Stack Media.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Badasses in Tech, your #1 destination for professional growth. I'm your host and favorite mentor, Summer Mitchell. If you like what you hear today, don't forget to like and subscribe on the platform you're tuning into. And since things look a little different around here, let me know what you think by liking today's episode, leaving a 5-star review, or shooting me a DM on Instagram. I'll put my handle in the show notes, along with a few other ways to contact us. Okay, so like I said, lots of new things, lots of change. For example, I got married this year. Woo, woo, woo! For those of you who have tuned in previously, you may have noticed that my last name is different. I was Summer Falgiano, and now I'm Summer Mitchell. So you'll be hearing more of me. We'll be breaking down different topics each month, and we'll continue to bring in experts based on the stuff you're most interested in learning more about. So with that, we asked our audience about what are some of the things that they truly care about these days, and we got an overwhelming response for tips and tricks on managing heavy workloads. So that's what we're going to dedicate the next couple of episodes to, and this topic makes sense to me, right? We are right now, as I am recording, in the middle of summer into fall. Literally, I believe today, most of America went to school. This is right after Labor Day. A lot of America just went back to school. So, you're either coming from a busy and hectic summer into a busy and hectic fall, right? Or you're saying, nope, not for me, summer. My summer was pretty chill, and I need to muster up the energy and get myself back into gear. I gotta whip my ass back into shape to get into this productive mode that is required for the next couple of months. We are staring at the final months of the year. It's insane to think about, but we're here and this is crunch time. So with that, these tips and techniques, they aren't just useful for you now. They aren't just useful for managing one busy season into another, or trying to get you into one chill mode into more of a productive mode. What we're about to dive into today will help you for each of those circumstances. And not only that, these are useful for any time that you are feeling overwhelmed or out of touch with your to-do list. Not only that, I like to do these weekly, quarterly. Sometimes it may require twice a week, whatever the cadence may be. We're going to hop right into tip number 1. And for me, that is taking inventory. Right off the bat, in order to manage your workload, you need to take inventory of what's on your plate. Again, coming off of the summertime is the perfect time to take a step back, dust off that to-do list that you and your teams, or you and your manager, or you and a project manager that maybe this person isn't somebody that you report to in the sense of, they approve your PTO, or, they are responsible for kind of your mentorship and your overall success, but they are a director or some sort of peer of your manager, right? That you ultimately want to please, and you ultimately want to do right by them and make sure that they are getting what they need from you. So this is that time to kind of reevaluate what did we agree to about 8 weeks or so ago. What in the company has changed, and furthermore, what exactly again am I working on? So this is an independent exercise to start with. This is really categorizing your workload, and I like to take inventory and categorize my workload by three different ways, three lenses. Me personally, I love a Google Doc. I love to have what I'm working on be able to be manipulated or changed, because I am no stranger to things that change. You may find that this works best for you if you are writing it down on a piece of paper, or maybe even talking about it, doing some sort of voice memo and just kind of talking it out loud to yourself. But either way, take the time to categorize your workload into 3 separate categories. The first one is by date. The second one is by project or campaign or program. And then the third one is by big and small rocks. And so I'll dive into each of those. First one, date. Pretty straightforward. This is quite simply a list of things that are needed to be done by date. I like to take a look at the next 3 months, wherever I am from this exercise, what's going on, what am I responsible for between now and 3 months from that date, and literally put it in a list by date, and separate it up by maybe the months. I like to do that, September, October, November. Cool. Here are the big dates that I need to be aware of no matter what, right? The second is by program or campaign or project. And what I mean by this, in my experience and many of the amazing individuals that I've had a chance to work with over the course of my career, we wear many hats in our one role, right? We have a lot of different responsibilities that our one role encompasses. So if you had to picture yourself putting one hat on for a set of tasks or a set of things on your to-do list, for example, let's say you're in charge of your company's case studies program. That's one category. That's one hat, in my opinion. Then maybe you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to take that hat off, and I know in the course of my day over the next 3 months, I'm going to have to be working on this presentation. I have a presentation that my boss is wanting me to give for another team to promote some sort of new initiative that we need the whole organization to be bought into. Kind of just making this up on the fly, but you get it. So that's another hat, in my opinion. Even right now, even this work that we're doing, this taking stock, taking inventory, this is a hat. I can't help but picture all of the different hats and what they look like. So, we're wrangling tasks right now. We are a task wrangler. I'm wearing some sort of cowboy hat. Okay, I'm done. But so, that's kind of how I like to think about my workload. And not only am I thinking about the dates that I need to absolutely know that are important, what are some of these programs or these projects that I need to really make sure I understand what is going on, kind of in each of those categories. Okay, we are fashion icons with all of these hats. The third piece is what I learned this technique several years ago, and it really, really changed the game for me. It's taking inventory on your to-do list based on big rocks and small rocks. Okay, so big rocks, how it was explained to me, are things that will take a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, more than likely over the course of an extended period of time. And you will likely, at least in my opinion, or at least how I see these big rocks, you're going to need more than yourself. You're going to need either a partner or a small team to help you get this done. So out of these dates and list of dates and categories, what are the things that are big rocks out of these lists that you've already identified, right? Put a star by these items. These are things that we're going to need to start picking apart, socializing, creating work back plans for, these are things I'll get into in a little bit. So don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay. So you are identifying the big rocks. You're also identifying the small rocks. These are important. I mean, they are things that still need to get done. Maybe there are things that you can get done on your own and that are things that can get done quickly. We still want to make sure these are getting done, right? We can't have these things fall into the cracks. And based on what fuels you, which we'll get into this in our next episode, you still want to make sure that we're building time into our day to accomplish these small rocks, because they may be what fuels you to get into the heavy rocks of the day or the big rocks of the day, or they simply just may need to get done. Okay, that makes sense. So ultimately, the purpose of this number one kind of technique of taking inventory is to better forecast, as I mentioned, these important dates coming up, to also forecast any holes or questions that you will have for other team members and your manager, and to give you a clear understanding, a clear picture of what you are responsible for and what may be negotiated, what you may have to get negotiated, or what you may have to delegate to. And all of this will be, we're talking about this for a reason. So it all ladders up into these conversations that you are going to have, whether it's in the next couple of weeks or, these conversations that are going to save you from headaches later on in the year, because like I mentioned, we know we're getting into crunch time. So you really want to be strategic about the next couple of weeks. You do not want to be bouncing around from meeting to meeting to meeting, or blindly accepting other people's stress pangs, or just because they didn't do this work. Clearly they left their wrangling hat at the door, and now they're trying to get you to scramble to do the things that are, is it a priority to you? This is what I mean. Like, we've got to do this work now. We've got to do it quite quickly. So that way, when you are in a situation where you maybe need to be armed with, hey, I would love to help you. Before I say yes, I have 3 or 4 competing priorities. Let's talk about ways that we can get all of these priorities solved together, right? That's much better than, okay, sure, yes, I will do that. Sure, yes, and then before you know it, you are working until, dinner time, or you're overwhelmed. Now you're feeling emotional, and now you're not going to do your best work. So, you don't want to be a blind yes queen. You also, this exercise, what we're doing, will prevent you from being a negative Nancy, is the best way I can consider it in terms of, I can't do this, or I have so much work on my plate. Like, no offense, and I love you, and this is why we're doing this. This, if you feel like you are kind of saying, you're hearing yourself saying like, oh my gosh, I just have so much to do and I can't get it done, or oh, why am I doing this? Like, this makes no sense to me. Let's get you to stop talking that way, because this is not a good way. No one really wants to work with people like this. I'm sorry, but that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this work. But, more importantly, you're taking inventory and empowering yourself to see, okay, maybe I actually do have a little bit more time than I thought, or why am I doing this work? Okay, I have done the research, the homework. I'm now going to go have a conversation with my manager and get help to get this off of my plate. So again, it is empowering you to take control of what you have and to better arm yourself for sticky conversations to come, and to ultimately set the standard and get everyone around you to get their ass into gear. So that's the fun part. That's the core. That's the essence. Okay, so tip number 2, work back plans. Get your work back plans. Get your work back plans. I'm very silly. Okay, but seriously, I love a good work back plan. It is simply a step-by-step plan with dates of when things need to get done, who needs to get it done with the next step of that step, and purposes, goals, again, information that will arm you for conversations that you will be having in the near future, whether you know it or not. So, and again, this is not, I'm not saying that for every single item that you have now mapped out in your inventory list requires a work back plan. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying more than likely those bigger rock projects, or that those projects that maybe you just really can't clearly see how you alone can get it done, or maybe we're doing this to prove to your manager or a team member that there is no point of this. Okay, this is a waste of the company's time, right? So that's what we will be using work back plans for. And the best way I can kind of put this into practice is by, let's just stick with these examples that I mentioned earlier, right? So you are heading up the case study program at your company. You also are on the hook to do this presentation that your boss really wants you to do. They could probably do it, but they want to have you do it for leadership opportunities. And again, it is important. We need to build morale and activate another part of the organization to get the company's goals done. So both are important, right? Both you are responsible for. Both are things that you can't get done alone. So we're going to build out 2 separate work back plans, one for this case study program and the other for this presentation. So the reason why we're doing work back plans is, again, because we are going eventually and ultimately to socialize, whether it's the document or the information in this plan, to empower ourselves and to get the job done by everybody, by the collective. So I always like to start, obviously, with a title, so you can make this fun. If it's this case study opportunity, project, make so-and-so famous. You know what I mean? we are socializing it, so we want to make this as fun as possible because why not? Why not? So fun title, next purpose of the doc. And again, I am more than happy. Send me a DM. Let me know if this is of interest to you. I am more than happy to send you a template of this because I know how helpful it is and I want to help. So if you want this template, please let me know. But back to it. Title, purpose of the doc. This is important, and it may be simply purpose to align on important dates and key ingredients for success of this case study project, right? If you don't know the purpose, that's an indication of it might be time to, like, maybe you missed some important details, okay, over some of those summer Fridays, and maybe you need to review some notes or phone a buddy and just be like, what are we doing? Or maybe there isn't, you can't clearly articulate the purpose because there isn't one. So I think you are understanding like what I'm trying to say here, right? This is not just an exercise for the sake of doing it. It all maps back to many different things, many benefits of your workload. So we have that. Then we have the goal, right? So we have the goal of the program. The goal of this case study program, for example, it's not just to, of course, one part of it is we need to get a case study live. Of course, that's part of the work back plan, but that's not the goal. The goal of building this case study program or building this case study, you have to be creative, is to ultimately take the company up a notch, build the brand awareness of this new product that we are promoting to better get the attention from our new segment of customers, right? I'm making this up on the fly. Or we need a case study. We need a case study program because we need to fundraise. Or listen, we really want to get into TechCrunch Disrupt. We need to have some sort of asset to share on the stage. So we need to have a case study as part of that larger goal, right? So I think you get the point. But this work back plan, you have your title, you have the purpose of the plan, and you have the goal of the project. Ideally with, here's how we're going to measure the success of this project, right? Which is maybe getting into TechCrunch Disrupt. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, we're going to dig into my favorite part, which is working back the plan. Work back at it, work back at it. Oh, okay. So in this case study publishing October 30th, the week prior, see, this exercise is kind of forcing us to think, what is the step of this thing? Okay, so we probably want every asset, like the copy, the design elements, the photo, the web tags. We need all of that to be final and done. So, okay, that's the next piece of this important work back plan. Not only have we identified that the sequence of order, now we know who is going to be our team. We know who are going to be our stakeholders, right? So this is important. This is where you are literally writing this out and you are ultimately better understanding who is going to be part of the success. So with this case study, more than likely, stakeholder will include the customer. We want to make sure they are with what we're putting out there for them. The marketing team, the legal team, more than likely somebody who knows something better than you. I would challenge you to make sure you have multiple buddies that you work with in your corner that know more than you do. Can't stress that enough. I'll get into that in a little bit. But you get my point, right? So now we are identifying these core milestones. We're giving them deadlines. Now we're identifying who needs to be part of the process. And one thing I'll say, when you're working with individuals and when you're working with deadlines, I love to give myself a buffer. This is not, I don't think that this is like me being like leading people astray or lying or anything like that. It's, in my opinion, I'm doing our jobs. I'm doing us a favor. It's no fair for me to expect so-and-so or, the lawyer on our team or the customer to honor my drop dead deadline. That's not fair. So when you're working with other people, maybe give them a deadline that's 2 to 3 days earlier than when you need it. And be clear about, as I'm kind of getting into the socialization kind of tip, which is next. But since we're here, as you're identifying who is in your corner, there's going to be a portion when you are going to start socializing what you're expecting and socializing these deadlines. And, you're going to want to use that opportunity to be very clear about your expectations. Hey, I need this by, let's say, October 21st. And, it's going to be, my expectation is that it's ready to go by that point. I'm more than likely going to check in on you a few times throughout the process. If you, especially if I haven't heard from you, I want to help. So I'm always here if you have any questions or if you need help along the way. So, you're giving them your expectation. You're giving them exactly how you want to interact with them. And oh, by the way, I'm probably going to follow up with you a few times too. So that's it. That's the whole part of, you are the project driver. Nobody is going to care about this as much as you do. So give them the buffer, set the parameters, set the expectation, and just trust the plan, trust the plan. So for the sake of this example, like you get the gist, plan out from the point of that case study publishing to the very first step in the process, which is, having that case set, getting the list of questions for the customer, right? What is your work back plan from that moment on to that final piece? Do the same thing for this other, let's say this presentation example, right? Because now I have 2 work back plans. Maybe for this presentation, I wasn't even able to get through the purpose, but I tried. You always try. You always make the attempt. And now you are ready to socialize your shit, okay? That brings me into number 3. You need to share the load. It is not healthy. It is not fair. It shouldn't be anyone's expectation that just because you are responsible for something, that you solely have to do it. Now it's on you. No. Not only is that not how it is or should be done, by finding ways to get other people to help you, to socialize your shit, to share the load. This is a growth opportunity, which is the whole point of why we're doing this podcast this way. Because leaders and people who are ready to take on that next step, to take on that higher salary, you know what I'm saying? Like, they are creators of change. They are finding ways to optimize and to share the load for, I keep saying that, share the success with others, even in the smallest of ways. So I'm going to dive into the last piece, right? Which is sharing the load. So you have your list of inventory, you have your list of to-dos. That's number one. By the way, this is all based on your preference of things as well. Yes, they are social. They're categorized on all of those different parameters I mentioned. But as you're socializing, and maybe I should be more specific, as you're socializing to your manager, because that's going to be that first person that you need to make sure that your manager knows where you're going and activates you, opens blockers for you, and no offense, managers love you, but stays out of your way. We are taking what we ultimately want to do to our manager, and we're positioning, hey, hope you had a great summer. I've done some research, and I want to talk to you in our next one-on-one about my workload over the next 3 months. In particular, these, I don't know how many areas, 2 to 3 areas where I am feeling blocked, or where I'm seeing opportunities to bring others along with me. And I'd love to talk through that with you. So that's your Slack message, or that's your agenda for this very first meeting, because time is of the essence. We've got to make sure that you are getting people on your side and ready to do what you need to do between now and crunch time. Okay, so you've established what you want to talk about with your manager in that one-on-one. You're bringing these work back plans. You're bringing these artifacts with you to the conversation, and you're showing her or him. You're saying, look, these are my priorities. You can see they're competing. I can do both, but I may need to rely on X, Y, and Z to help me with this case study project. I plan to enlist their help, but before I do so, I want to make sure that there weren't any other factors that I should consider before working with them and getting them to do X, Y, Z. Do I need to speak to their manager, for example? Awesome. I just wanted to make sure that we were aligned on my next step for that particular project. Next, let's talk about this presentation. Again, more than happy to do it. I need some help better understanding the purpose. I'm really thinking about what's the purpose of this presentation. And, we know that compared to the case study program, for example, we know it has so many benefits to take the company to the next level, which that is my passion. That's really why I'm here, right? I'm here to manage this. I understand the importance of this presentation. I'm more than happy to develop the outline, but maybe I task somebody else to pick it up and actually do it. Or maybe, I'm even happy to set you up for success to do this. Cool, right? So, that's partly why we're doing this. We are doing this work, so we are getting our manager to be chill with what we have in store for ourselves. And I say this with empathy because I have been very lucky to have wonderful managers, bosses, mentors in my life. I know that that's not always the case, and I still stand by doing the inventory, doing the work back plans, and sharing the load, socializing your shit. Maybe it's not to your manager if you feel like they're going to just slam you down. I do also come from a background of asking for forgiveness over permission. Get it. If you know something's going to get done and maybe it's not the exact way that other people want it to get done, but it's going to get done, then just, get the people that you need on your team. Or maybe it's best to reach out to your manager's manager and say, hey, listen, this is my plan. I'm trying to grow here. I want to activate these team members. I'm going to do this. Thanks. Okay, so get the help you need is my point. Now that you have you've got people in your corner. Now this is the next big step in the process, which is to enlist your partner or to enlist your small team and get them excited, get them to help you, right? So, this always, in my experience, one Slack message, if it's a partner, one partner. If it's a group of people, the full group. The more public that you can make these requests and kind of activate your team members, public in the most relevant way, I find the better. Why ping 5 people one time? Make it easier on yourself, make it easier for everyone. There is a whole, I can get into this in another episode of, the power of a little bit of like the public eye, like the pressure of what comes, healthy pressure of what comes with sending a message in a group. And if nobody responds to it, well, then someone's going to, by the end of the day, someone's going to feel compelled to respond to it. So anyways, that's a whole other topic. The point here is you want to send a Slack or some sort of message. Hey, I found this really exciting opportunity for us. I've already looked at our calendars. We're all free tomorrow at 1:30. Do you mind if I put some time? I have 2 to 3 questions I want to ask, and I've already done the homework of this particular project. I have examples of what I'm looking for, and ultimately I'm choosing you. I'm enlisting you all to be a part of this with me because you all are so good at XYZ. And I know together that we can make history or that we can get promoted or something, I'm being serious. You want to gas them up in this way, be the team member that you want to work with. And I personally do not respond well to, hey, do you have a chance to meet with me in 5 minutes? I don't really know I don't have an agenda, but I just know that this needs to get done and let's work it. Or, hey, so yeah, this has got to get done. I guess let's do it. No, be the team member that you want to work with, get excited, make fun, make this fun. And, even, in this work back plan, in these moments, you might find that there is a portion where you need to collaborate with one individual for maybe 30 minutes to live edit some copy or to decide on a strategy or research, whatever. Make it fun. Hey, let's grab some coffee and virtual coffee if you're remote or there's some sort of hybrid aspect to your team. Or let's do happy hour, 4:30, 1 glass of wine, and let's play some music. Let's have some fun with this. So, that's my point. We're socializing this. We are being that team member that we want to be. We are coming prepared. We have our inventories. We have our work back plans. And, as I mentioned, here's a bonus. Each of these techniques, these are things, like I mentioned, that you can reference in your next performance review or salary review or negotiation, because These are leadership qualities. You are initiating change. You're building systems and processes. That's one thing I hear all the time from my peers and from my team members. How do I feel like I'm stuck in a rut. I feel like I'm stuck in a growth rut. How do I prove I'm ready? I know I'm doing so much. How do I prove I'm ready to be promoted, or I'm ready to earn what I'm worth? By being able to articulate the impacts, you silly bean. So that is today's episode. I hope you found this helpful. Like I mentioned, if you're interested in seeing my work back plan template, let me know. Slide into my DMs or leave a comment or a review in wherever you're tuning into. We have so many great episodes coming your way. We'll be talking about, like I mentioned, maintaining that healthy work-life balance, about tapping into your energy and your personality styles to make them work for you, how to be a teammate people want to work with. And again, can't stress this enough. We really want to hear, what do you need help with? Even better, if you want to submit a real life challenge or something that's coming up for you that you're dealing with, and we'll work through that together anonymously, of course. But I want to hear from you all, and I cannot wait to help you be a baddie.